It's faster than you think. So fast that with just a blink, it's gone. Early morning, dew still clings to the grass, and small footprints stretch across the damp earth. We move deeper into the meadow, where the silence is broken only by the wind brushing through patches of swaying grass. In the wild, sometimes the smallest creatures possess the speed and alertness that make any pursuer hesitate. Here, hidden among low grass and thick bushes, lives the hare, small, swift, and far from easy to approach. A faint movement in the grass, a blink of an eye. The hare is gone. That moment reminds us this journey is not about luck. It demands silence, patience, and the ability to read even the tiniest signs of nature. Hares, they may seem harmless, but when their numbers grow, young crops, tender shoots, and the whole season's yield can be at risk. Hunting hares isn't just a test of skill. It's part of protecting the land and maintaining nature's balance. A journey where every step must be light, every breath slow, and every decision made in an instant. Join us, subscribe to Famigo Farm, and follow the journey. From the stillness of dawn, the tracking begins. We stop at the edge of a gentle slope. Below us, the meadow stretches into soft, rolling waves under the first light of day. The wind crawls close to the ground, carrying the last traces of the night's chill. It brushes against our faces, a good sign. The wind is in our favor. Our scent hasn't drifted forward. Silence spreads. No one speaks. The body knows when to stop, when to listen. Then, a sign. A bush to the right trembles slightly. A blade of grass leans at an angle the wind could not have made. A small movement. But to those who have lived long among the fields, it's as clear as a knock on the door. The hunter shifts his weight onto his feet, grounding himself. His right hand raises the rifle, slow, steady, quiet, disturbing not even the air. Speed lies not in motion, but in timing. Breath held steady, eyes locked on the grass that just moved. One beat, two. Everyone knows it's there. The creature beneath the grass, drawn taut like a bowstring before release. For a fleeting instant, its tension meets ours, two instincts crossing in a thread of silence. And then, the hare bursts out. Its brown-gray body cuts across the meadow, fluid and sharp as a living stroke of ink. It darts and weaves, leaving only a trace of motion shimmering in the early light. Time stalls. The wind stills against the grass tips. The meadow holds its breath like an unfinished painting. Only an invisible line connects two gazes. Tense, yet calm. Thin, yet undeniable. A hunt isn't about speed or slowness. It's the art of waiting. The moment when the mind stands firm amid pressure and silence. Because in nature, the victor isn't the one who moves first, but the one who endures longer. To understand why that single moment decides everything, we must first understand the creature we're pursuing. The hare lives close to the ground. It senses the world through the vibrations that travel along each blade of grass, hears the faintest touch of wind against its ears, and sees almost everything around it, with wide-set eyes that capture both sides at once. Its hind legs, slender yet powerful, are always coiled, ready to spring like a loaded spring. A slightest shift in the air, and it can vanish in the blink of an eye. They are most active at dawn and dusk. When the light softens, shadows stretch long, and the earth still holds the cool breath of night. They favor places with tender grass and soft soil, near forest edges and water. The kind of places where life is just beginning to stir. Hares don't just run, they hide deeply. They dig small tunnels beneath the ground, narrow but long enough to escape predators.
So cute.
Each burrow often has several exits, like secret doors that offer safety in the fraction of a second. And within those burrows, life multiplies quietly. Hares reproduce at an incredible rate. A single pair can bring dozens of new lives into the world each year. When the breeding season arrives, the mother chooses a patch of soft earth, digs a shallow nest, and lines it with dry grass and her own fur to keep her young warm. The newborns come blind, fragile, almost defenseless. The mother returns only briefly, to nurse, then leave again immediately,
there he
so
is
her
right
scent
there.
won't draw predators
And the
near.
other two,
The protection of
I
this
thought there were
species
four,
is
but
silent,
I guess
driven
there are
entirely
three
by
now.
instinct.
I'm not sure what happened
But
to the
that
other
very
one.
speed of reproduction brings its own
Maybe.
problem. As their numbers grow,
See, they're just
the natural
in there
meadows can no
sleeping.
longer sustain them. They spread into
So
farms
we'll just
and
leave them
gardens,
alone and
targeting
then check
seedlings,
back
the tender,
later. They
nutrient-rich
should
beginnings of future
have their
harvests.
eyes open
Rows
very
of young
soon.
crops, tended
So,
for days, can be stripped to bare stems overnight. Even the flowers planted simply to bring color to a garden may vanish by morning, leaving only roots and empty soil. It's never the whole field destroyed in one night. It's the future of the harvest, taken away at its most fragile stage. When the low vegetation disappears, the soil loses its cover. To gain control, one cannot act on impulse. Everything begins with the right time and the right land. Each landscape has its own rhythm, and a skilled hunter is the one who learns to move in tune with it. In farmlands and semi-wild meadows, the hare season falls between late autumn and early spring. This is when the ground still holds the chill of winter. The grass hasn't grown tall, and every trace of movement remains imprinted on the surface. After a dewy night, the soil softens. Hare tracks appear clearly, small, faint V-shapes, often leading toward food or water. These prints connect into thin trails, like threads, running along field edges, forest borders, or dry ditches. To the untrained eye, it's just grass. But to someone who's walked this land long enough, it's the story of a small life in motion. The best time of day is when the sun first touches the horizon. The light doesn't strike directly. It spreads low, revealing movement through the trembling of shadows on the grass. The wind then blows soft and even, stands still long enough, and a hunter can feel its direction as clearly as his own heartbeat. Hares rarely step into open fields. They prefer the thresholds, the edge between open and hidden, forest lines, field borders, slope bases, and grassy banks near ditches, places where, in the span of a heartbeat, they can dive into cover or vanish underground. That's why hunters don't walk through the open. They move along the edges, beside the light-shifting colors across the grass, as if tracing the border between two worlds, one where the hare feeds and one where it disappears. Here, every step carries weight. Each footfall must be light enough not to disturb the breathing rhythm of the meadow itself. From this moment on, every bit of preparation, every movement, every sense of the wind and reading of the trail will decide everything. In small game hunting, such as for wild hares, everything begins with preparation, from the choice of tools to the ability to sense the rhythm of nature itself. A skilled hunter doesn't choose the most powerful weapon, but the one best suited to the environment and the target. The .22 caliber rifle is a common choice, light, low recoil, quiet, and precise at short to medium range, where every pull of the trigger only matters when performed in absolute silence. The bolt-action rifle is favored for its simple, stable mechanism that forces the shooter to stay calm and commit only when the moment is right. In situations requiring faster follow-ups, semi-automatic rifles may be used, but they rarely match the steadiness and accuracy of a manual bolt. The scope need not magnify much. Clarity, brightness, and a wide field of view matter more, allowing the hunter to track small movements in the grass without losing awareness of the surroundings. Yet, beyond all the mechanics and ballistics, the true essence lies in responsibility, knowing the limits of the .22, choosing the right distance, following hunting seasons, and respecting the life that stands before the muzzle. When everything is ready, the journey into the forest begins. The first light lingers at the edge before fading under the dense canopy ahead. The air thickens with the scent of damp wood, wet soil, and fallen leaves. Early birds call faintly, then fade into the wind. The forest floor is soft. Each step must land where leaves already cover the ground, avoiding the crack of a twig. The group moves in a single line, keeping just enough distance to signal with a glance, but close enough not to disrupt the rhythm. No one speaks. No unnecessary motion. Everything is measured by breath and awareness. Under the trees, the light grows thin and still. When the wind moves, streaks of brightness drift across the ground like the forest breathing. We stop in a shallow clearing where the grass is short and the ground even.
If you notice my eyes,
A path hares often cross between their burrows and feeding spots. The stance is kept low, the barrel angled toward the earth, the body blending with the colors of the woods. The back arches slightly, weight lowered, every movement deliberate. The wind holds steady, carrying human scent away. The silence deepens until a single falling leaf can be heard touching the ground. Time stretches, every heartbeat syncing with the forest's own quiet pulse. The waiting no longer feels like waiting for a target to appear, but for the forest to reveal itself. In that moment, hunting ceases to be an act of pursuit. It becomes an act of listening to the forest, the wind, and one's own presence within the stillness. Even with the right weapon, human senses have limits. That's when companions who can listen to the earth and the wind become essential. Trained hunting dogs are an irreplaceable part of the team. They read scents on the ground, catch traces of animals carried by the wind, and with just a slight tilt of the head or a pause in their step, they send a clear signal to everyone. Alongside them is a small device that mimics the natural alarm call of a rabbit, not to lure or frighten, but to evoke that faint instinct of caution that makes the animal lift its head or shift position. Sometimes, just a small movement, a blade of grass trembling, a shadow sliding over dry leaves, is enough for the hunter to pinpoint where it stands, trace its path, and make a careful, responsible decision. Both the sound and its duration are kept minimal, so the rhythm of the forest remains untouched. The dog and the device do not make the hunt easier. They simply help us see more clearly, move more patiently, and act with greater respect for the land beneath our feet. The morning closes with the soft breath of the grasslands, but the journey does not end there. As the sun begins to lean across the hillside, the light deepens, turning golden, and the shadows stretch long and dark over the ground. This is the hour of another creature, larger, stronger, and leaving heavier marks upon the earth. The wild boar. We find the first signs at the edge of the low forest. Soil torn open, crushed stems, and a narrow trail pressed deep into the earth, leading toward the valley where water lies. There is no need to ask. What left those traces was not the wind. Wild boars do not live off what is given. They dig into the ground for roots, bulbs, and tender shoots, the very things that should have become the farmer's next harvest. Left unchecked, a single herd can destroy not just a season's yield, but the land itself, as fertile soil is overturned and washed away. Control, then, is not a choice. It is a responsibility. The evening light tilts across the slope. The air shifts its color. Every sense narrows to one point. Breath steadies. The body sinks closer to the ground. The air tightens in the stillness of waiting. Then, from the brush below the ridge, the silence breaks. A heavy movement, slow, but certain. The wild boar emerges. No sound, no warning. The muscles along its shoulders and flanks ripple in rhythm, each step pressing deep into the soft earth, the ground echoing back its weight. The heartbeat narrows to a single line, drawn toward the point ahead. And once again, the hunt returns to its true meaning, not to claim, but to preserve the balance of this land. The day ends in the quiet of those who understand their actions. The grasslands lie still, the breeze brushing over tender shoots, and the earth breathing evenly. In nature, there are no winners, only balance. We leave the forest as the sun touches the horizon, leaving a land still alive. Hunting is not about strength, but a reminder that humans are part of nature and must protect it. If you value this, subscribe to Famigo Farm, walk with us, and continue the journey.